Well, welcome back, everybody. I'm Cathy Clements, your longevity strategist, and this is the end of episode 15. This is part 4. So, as we wrap up today's episode, what I really want us to first think about is our journey together. I want us to take a moment and reflect on where we've been and where hopefully we're all going. So over the past few episodes, we've talked about things that are measurable, and that's important, right? So strength, nutrition, movement, recovery, sleep, stress. And I got to tell you, there's a little bit of that going on with me right now. Balance, brain health. These are all incredibly important things and issues that as we age, we need to deal with. And they are foundational for living well. That's super important for us to remember. But today we've talked about something that can't be measured with a fitness tracker or a lab test. It's purpose, connection, community, and because a healthy body is only part of living healthy or a healthy life, the goal isn't to simply live longer. The goal, hopefully for all of us, is to live better. Now, we want to wake up with energy. We want to have people that we love in our lives. We want to have work that matters, and work, don't take it as the technical word work, because work can be a lot of different things. This is even if you're already retired. So again, work does not mean a 9-to-5 job. But it's important for us to remain curious, to keep learning. Like I think I've told you probably at least twice, I am learning Italian. Some days it takes me longer than others to get in the groove and recall the vocabulary that I know, but I am learning, and I'm learning something new. We want to all continue to contribute. So that contribution could be your purpose. And most likely it probably is. Contributions can happen in any portion of our lives. So look at your whole life and determine where you can contribute. And we want to keep becoming ... What is it that you want to keep becoming? So as we move forward, hopefully we are designing our second half, right? One of the things I hope that this podcast has encouraged you to do is to stop drifting. Okay, I'm going to be the first to tell you, I have moments where drifting, scrolling, doom scrolling, whatever you want to call it, is that moment where you kind of, or I should say unwind, do something stupid, just, for an hour. But an hour could be a very productive hour if you allow it. So it's easy to let life happen to us, right? Weeks become months. We don't want that to happen with doom scrolling. And months become years. But before we know it, we're wondering where all that time went. And what did we do with that time? But direction, if you have that direction requires intention. And no one can accidentally build a meaningful life. It's something that you have to intend to do. Just like no one intends to build strength unintentionally or accidentally. You have to go in and actually lift the weights. It happens one decision at a time, one workout, one healthy meal, one walk, one conversation, one choice. It doesn't mean, and let me say this, because I think I have these moments too. It doesn't mean that every single intention you have has to have the same meaning. And it doesn't mean that you can't have lapses in your intention. I think I've said it, I know I've said it before, but I think my struggle specifically is nutrition and staying on track 100% of the time. That just doesn't happen for me. For me, 100% of the time, it would mean, because of the way my body reacts to things, it would mean no alcohol at all. It would mean no sugar. And it would mean pretty much vegetables and a protein. And I know in my heart of hearts and through all the testing I've done through my doctors that that would give me the nutritional balance I need for my body. Is that realistic for me? The answer is no. I enjoy having a glass of wine in the evening with my husband every now and again, or when we go out with friends. So I'd say there's the idealistic and then there's the realistic. And there is a balance in between those two. And that's what I hope that we all come to the realization of, and that we all, I don't know, that everybody finds that balance. And the same is true for every aspect. So I use the nutrition aspect, but every aspect that we've talked about so far has a balance. Strength training, cardiovascular training, nutrition, and learning our purpose. Those all have the same, there's the same truth that's involved with every one of them. It grows through the small decisions. Each of these steps grow through the small decisions that we make every single day. So today, I'd like to encourage you. I'd like to encourage you to become the architect, that's a good way of putting it, of your second half. Not a passenger, the architect. What does that mean? Well, what do architects do? Architects are the ones that build that, because this season deserves as much planning as any season that came before it. So for some of you, it means actually sitting down and writing down your own vision. Now, I've done that. I can tell you, I'm the first to say I'm not consistent at doing this, but that's okay. It's here, and I've put it on paper, and I do refer back to it every now and again. And it changes. So, but I'd like to give you one last exercise before we end this season. I hope you can actually do this. You just find a notebook, pour yourself a cup of coffee. So maybe you do this first thing in the morning, and sit somewhere nice and quiet, somewhere where you can have those contemplative moments, and just begin writing. And in that writing, really allow yourself to say, I'm not on a schedule, and I don't have, it's not about our responsibilities. So kind of push those responsibilities to the side. And remember, it's about your life. It's about what you want. And you just start asking yourself, what do I want, right? What do I want my life to feel like in 10 years from now? What do I not want to own? What do I want to own? What do I want to have accomplished, or in being in the process of accomplishing? How do I want to feel? Do I want to feel energetic or calm, strong, hopeful, generous, present? That's always a hard one. Adventurous, connected. And now ask yourself one more question. Well, let me go back, and I will list those off for you just one more time, just so you've got them, and you can refer back to this too as you begin to write. What do I want my life to feel like 10 years from now? Not what do I own, but what do I want to accomplish? How do I want to feel? Do I want to feel energetic or calm, strong, hopeful, generous, present, adventurous, connected? And then what kind of person would I have to become to create that life? I think some of us feel like we have to change a whole lot about ourselves. And others will say, well, that's already me. And that's awesome. Sometimes you're just in between there and it's just small tweaks that in specific areas of your life that you may need to accomplish, or that you not may need but may want to make some changes. So think about that as you start to move forward. The future we're hoping for, at least for me, for it, it's usually built on becoming someone, not simply by doing something. So the becoming someone, I don't know, that one for me takes a lot of concentration, and maybe that's a whole nother writing exercise, but maybe it's becoming more consistent in one of the areas that we've already talked about, or maybe it's being more patient. It's not a whole overhaul of you. Um, Maybe it's being more curious or more willing to ask for help. That's not an easy one for me, I gotta say. Asking for help is something that I've always thought that I could, do most things on my own, that I didn't have to ask someone to help me. And they could be small things, not necessarily big. But maybe we need to be more committed to our health, or growth isn't, just by adding habits. It's by that growth is by, changing some of those habits, or by being patient, or by being calm, or by being, you know, whatever that is for you. Sometimes it could be just becoming somebody new. Sit with that one for a minute. I think all of us have something that we could change that would make us feel like a new or a different person. You know how they say that, I don't even know what the saying is right off the top of my head, where, you know, you can't, maybe it's the one, you can't teach an old dog new tricks, and that, people can't change. Well, I don't agree with that. I think people can change. And I think um, the hard part is, in some instances, allowing those people to change, because when we come across them again, our expectation is they're going to be exactly the same as they were maybe 10 years prior when we saw them on a daily basis. And 10 years can have effects on a person and change them for the better or change them for the worst, or just bring life experiences to them that they have then applied them and changed. So giving yourself grace and giving someone else grace as you maybe reconnect with friends that you've had in the past, and realize that time changes everything. And I know I've heard that somewhere. This is probably part of a song, not intentional. But time does change everything. They say you can't go back. And I do believe that things, the perception or the perspective you have on things today won't match where you were 10, 5, 20 years in the past or longer. And so I do believe that going back and expecting the same doesn't occur for us. And sometimes that's frustrating. But it should be expected that it's just going to be different. So Remember the power of any small choice you choose to make. One of the biggest misconceptions about transformation is that it all happens at once. Not really the case. It doesn't. Transformation is usually very quiet. It looks like choosing water instead of soda, or taking a walk after dinner, calling a friend, or going to bed a little earlier, lifting weights twice a week instead of not at all, preparing breakfast instead of skipping it, reading 10 pages instead of scrolling for 30 minutes on the phone, on your phone, or playing goofy video games on your phone. None of those decisions feels dramatic, right? But together, once you start adding up all the different small decisions that you can make, they become a new life, or your current life. I've often said that we overestimate what we can accomplish in a week, but we underestimate what we've accomplished in 5 years. And that's true with health. It's true with relationships. It's true with purpose. Um, and it's certainly true with aging. Every healthy choice you make is a vote for your future, or the future you want to live, or your future self. So, what legacy are you building? As we get older, I think we naturally begin thinking about legacy. Legacy is a word that can mean a lot of different things. And I just listened to a quick video from William Shatner, who's now 95, and he was talking with his daughter, and he talked about legacy as the things you do, the way you, the interactions you have with people. He considered that legacy more so than like Star Trek or whatever he's done in the theater or on film. But sometimes people hear that word and think it's all about money or possessions, that's your legacy. In his case, that's not. And those things, they have their place. But I think in my mind, legacy is much bigger than that. Legacy is how people feel because you were in their life. So therefore, I agree with William Shatner. How you touched them, how you helped them. Did you encourage them or teach them something? Did you help them believe in themselves? Did you model resilience or kindness or integrity? Did you make people feel seen? That's huge, right? And those things, they outlast us. They outlive us. So your legacy may be something you're leaving behind and you don't even realize it. You don't, I love those shows where, and I know this was in a movie where it was probably a Tom Hanks one, the one where no, maybe it wasn't. I don't know. It doesn't matter. Where they think the world would be better off without them. Oh, it was A Wonderful Life. I knew it would come to me. I remember how different life was because he hadn't touched the lives of all of these people. And it was the small things that he did. It wasn't huge things. And in doing that, he made everyone's life that he touched actually better. So your legacy may not be something that you tangibly leave behind. It may be something you leave within the people whose lives you've touched. And that, to me, is life well lived. And to be honest, I think sometimes those things that you leave behind with those people, some of those lessons are not easy lessons. So in the immediate future, those times might be challenging for both of you to get through, but it's in the long term and in the the long-term evaluation within each you and the person you've come in contact with. Those type of things have maybe that's just something that someone needs to think about a little bit longer than just that immediate um, uh, effect. So never think that just because you had an interaction with somebody that you walked away from not thinking it being positive, it may have affected or changed the way that person now views something, or changes the way they interact with someone else. So you just don't know. So what you do know is that the next chapter isn't written yet. And that's for all of us. So here's one of my favorite thoughts. Your story isn't finished. I don't know how old you are today. Maybe you're 50, or 65 or 75, or maybe even older. But as long as you're here, there are still pages left to write in your story. There's still friendships waiting to begin. There's still places waiting to be explored, books to read, skills to learn, people to mentor, family memories to create, sunrises and sunsets to watch, conversations to have, or dreams to pursue. So don't let anyone convince you that the most meaningful contributions that you've made are all behind you. The second half isn't an ending. It's another beginning. Perhaps it's a wiser beginning. I'd like to think that. How about calmer? It's a calmer beginning, or a more intentional, because now things don't feel as rushed. Maybe you're not balancing as many things in life that you were, say, in your 30s or 40s, or even into your 50s. Maybe now things, as they begin to slow down, you get to do what you want to intentionally do. And that would be my hope for you, that if I could sit across the table from every one of you with a cup of coffee in hand and think, this is what I want to hear from you. All right. I hope you take care of your body. I would hope it's not because you're afraid of aging, but because your life is worth showing up for. I hope you build strength, not just in your muscles, but in your character. I hope you protect your peace, your space, your boundaries. I hope you laugh often. I hope you keep learning and stay curious. I hope you spend time with people who make you feel better. I hope you become one of those people who makes others feel better. I hope you stop comparing your journey with everyone else's. And I hope you celebrate progress instead of demanding perfection of yourself or others. Most of all, I hope you wake up excited about the life you're building, because that excitement is contagious and it's available at every age. So at this point, I would love to personally thank all of you. Before we finish today, I just wanted to say thank you for listening. And I want you to share back with me anything that anything you've received from this, and anything you want to hear in the future. So thank you for spending that time with me. I know time is one of those things that you can't get back. So thank you for trusting me enough to invite me into your walks or your workouts or your morning coffee or your commute, or into just your life. That means more to me than you could possibly realize. When we started this podcast, my hope wasn't simply to share information. There are plenty of places to find information. My hope is to create a place where people can feel encouraged, where science meets common sense, where health feels practical, where growing older feels hopeful instead of frightening. If that's where if that's what you found here, then I'm incredibly grateful. Before we wrap up, here's what I'd love you to think about. Think, what kind of person do I want to become during the next 10 years? This can be added to that notebook exercise from earlier that we talked about. Not just what do you want to accomplish, but who do you want to become? I'd love to share that with you. I think I'll do the same exercise, and maybe that'll be part of what I share before we start the next season. So try to write down your own vision for your second half, not someone else's, your own. Write it down and want it to feel personal. How do you want to live? How do you want to, who do you want beside you? What adventures and hope do you want to experience? How do you want to live? Those choices, one small decision or one small action this week, that moves toward that vision. Just one. That's all. Because direction isn't created through giant leaps. It's created through faithful steps. So I've given you quite a bit to do as we finish up this episode 15, part 4. So as I look ahead to the next season, I want you to, as we continue this journey together, I'd love for you to begin diving deeper into the practical side of longevity. I'd like to dive deeper into that too with you. And we'll talk about hormones and metabolism, inflammation, healthy weight loss after 50, gut health. I'm looking for a naturopath to come on and speak about the journeys that he or she is hearing through their clients. The naturopath that I have has a life that is super busy right now, and I haven't been able to lock her down to a date. I've been trying to get her on the podcast as well. So there's things to do. There's people that we can listen to, and experts in those specific fields. Whether it's your hormones or whether it's gut health or sleep optimization or building strength in everyday life, creating your own personal longevity blueprint. That would be amazing, right? Everything we explore, we have one purpose, and that's helping you find a life that's not just longer, but richer, stronger, healthier, and more connected, and filled with purpose. So, I'll leave you with this. Every morning you wake up, life quietly asks you a question. What direction will I choose today? So what direction will you choose today? Not next Monday, not next January. Today, one meal, one walk, one conversation, one act of kindness, one moment of gratitude, one intentional decision. Those moments may seem small, but over time, they become a life. A beautiful life, a meaningful life, a life built with purpose, because aging isn't something that happens to us, right? It's something we shape. It's something we influence. It's something we get to direct. But aging isn't decline. Aging is direction. Thank you for joining me today. Until next time, take care of yourselves, take care of the people around you, and remember, your best chapters are still ahead of you. And I'll see you in the next episode. Talk soon.